Leo, this is your 2016. This will count for Leo sun sign or Leo ascending sign. I think it looks like a pretty good year for you. And let's take a look month by month. I'm going to have one slide that tells you about the flavor of the month for everyone. Then I'm going to tell you special things and in terms of how they affect you. So the flavor for January is that there will be omens and signs about who has real power. Great. There's also more revolution and upgrade jitters that's been going on since 2011. So my advice is be cool, manage your brand, do your duties. Mercury's retrograde, January 5th through 25th. So the new moon is starting off where you have some jobs or duties, so some accounting and some health things to attend to, and that can make you more powerful and maybe increase your potential wealth. So that's a really, great way to start off the new moon in a way, and that'd be fairly simple, except that this is forming a square to planet Uranus, and what it is that you've been on this quest for futuristic education, to be innovative regarding things like religion, and to maybe involved with some charismatic types of travel. And so you can't be content to just have this job. You have this whole other thing going on. And that's been going on since 2011. Okay, so that's what January is about. Now we get into February, it's a whole different thing. The month essentially is a sleeper. It does wake up at the end, but even then it seems dreamy. So pay attention to subtle cues and train your ESP. Avoid toxins, shun illusions. Easier said than done. But anyway, the full moon is amplifying your area of money, resources, aesthetics, and instincts. So you could make some money on this full moon. The full moon time frame is going to be February 20th, but then there are going to be effects here that I'm talking about continue till March 2nd. In this case, Neptune in your 8th house, that you have some glamour and sensitivity and even some spirituality connected to collaborations, contracts, and troubleshooting. And I think a lot of really successful business people do have strong ESP. But in this case, you really want to see who's really going to come through with the resources, with the money, who's going to, money talks, as they say. So the most mystical and potentially confusing time of year, the empathy and compassion work wonders, but beware of the fakers. That is, you want to know people, get them to do collateral, make sure that they come through, and just, make it easy for them. In other words, set it up. Okay, March is one of our big eclipse months, and we're going to see a global opinion shift regarding topics of religion, patronage, and healing. So my advice is be ready for anything, keep the faith, use science, and worst case analysis. So the first new moon is, again, continuing this whole idea of collaborations, business, and troubleshooting, and you may be looking at people that you've collaborated with in the past, the karmic links. This does require a lot of monitoring. The entire new moon phase is March 4th through 10th. The actual solar eclipse, depending on where you are in the world, is on around March 8th. Solar eclipses are challenging for men who do experience a new wave. This is a trend-setting time frame. Then the full moon phase, March 23rd, actually the whole phase rather, is the 21st through 25th. And this will give us revelations about the best possible world citizenship role for everyone, including what to eliminate. In this case, in the area of meetings, visits, and media skill set, who do you really need to see? Who do you need to visit? What media, communications or social media do you really need to work with, and what don't? Because this is real important to determine, because this is how you can really create benefits, team life, and a fully realized life. So important lessons here on this lunar eclipse full moon. Then we move on to April. This is a wild and futuristic month. Use charismatic but humane elements. This quest presented to you in April, we don't know what it is yet, but should you decide to accept it, it is definitely going to be helped by a study of science and more SIG, that is special interest group networking. There's a mouthful. Okay, the new moon is really exciting. It's in your area of education, religion, travel, and global awareness. And this is a real jazzy area. This is expectant, prophetic. You can ask what will work, what will get funding or potency, because here you've got a direct line to the power behind the scenes. Who's going to do the work, who's going to do the accounting, what's the real health of this situation. This is something you have inside information that can help you with these new projects. Okay, May 2016, there are heroic missions beckoning. Muscle and courage and street smarts are prerequisites. Strong allies reinforce each other via affection. and it's possible to pull resources for great success. Mercury's retrograde, April 28th through May 22nd, so extra care, communications, and transportation. Well, this full moon really, supercharged conjunct Mars, so bringing up pioneer spirit, muscle, courage, independence, in your 11th house. So this is a very, very active social time for you, benefactors, patrons, and friends. A lot of people are in show-off mode. They feel compelled to perform and demonstrate strength, especially in your circles. It should be really interesting. Now, conflicts might get a little hyped up, so some of the angst might need some management or some negotiating or diplomacy. Okay, you think that's interesting? Well, June is really something. It's a rewarding but challenging month with tricky and tempting components. This is a contest between superpowers. So my advice, use strategy, not emotions, unless you need to vent. Emotional release, that's a good idea. But management and adaptive modes are going to say revise, 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 again, again, again. And here, the new moon has implications for your groups and friends, but also for you asserting your dignity in regarding your own talent and what you can do. And what makes it more complicated is you do have both ESP working for you in collaborations, but it's complicated. You have potential to make more money, but these all have to be juggled and organized. In July, regrouping on issues call for timeout, take stock, and see who's on your team. So the new moon in your 12th house is right before your birthday, so you can listen to your dreams and cope with the nemesis. Meanwhile, you have real insight into the power and wealth that is potential within your duties and your job. August is, first 3 quarters is fun, so play it up to the max, but the back to school time, many dear lessons to build strength and be ready. So Mars conjunct Saturn in your 5th house, and this is really going to put your talent to the test, plus your children may be moving up a notch if you have any children, and so the inclination is to be a little too heavy-handed. That's the problem, especially since there's confusion about deal making. So take extra time, see who's really on board, who's really going to help you. And also, again, 2nd house sun in your 2nd house is, where's the money coming through? What are the resources? What's real? What's going on there? September is another eclipse season, so the assignments are actually on a rocky road, and there's positive outcomes likely, but changes in the wind. The last week is very lucky, but the first 3 quarters is ongoing management from August, continuing with that. Mercury is retrograde, August 30th through September 22nd, so extra care and communications is important. The new moon faces a solar eclipse here, and here you've got to really beef up these survival instincts and really see what you've got to work with in terms of materials, tools, resources. And also you want to keep an eye on possessions, on valuables, because in solar eclipses there's all this switch around. And you want to make sure, here I'm your advocate, so make sure that things come out in your favor, right? But you do want to be aware of benefiting other people on your team too, because there's teamwork emphasized here. Now, ever since November 2015, there has been more concretization of your talent and more expertise, more organization, more professionalism, which is great, but then we know this problem about contracts, are they going to work, are they going to come through? If you're really clear-headed, if you develop your intuition, if you avoid intoxicants, that's really going to help you because you'll have a clearer head and you'll know what's going to work. So this is kind of the end of this. It's been going on for 9 months since November 2015, and you should really have some things figured out here about how to make a contract that's going to work, that's going to incorporate your special talents. Okay, so the 9th house emphasized on this full moon, and so you have this strong sense of what's really going to work with your education, religion, and global awareness, and vivid portrayals of human folly. Of course, media wonders, advertising feats, but they might hit on vulnerable points because vulnerable points are always out there on a lunar eclipse, and particularly for women, there's a lot of maintenance. Look at the South Moon's node active here, so karmic links, monitoring profit or debts, maintenance, and revision. So it's a little tricky. October's a whole different thing. It's starting off with a bang. It's a rocket ride into the future, very fun socially. So get out, be generous, learn new skills. Let's see how it affects your horoscope. Well, the new moon in your 3rd house, a lot of really lucky meetings. So you really want to pack in your schedule there at the end of September through the beginning of October with some important meetings. There can be promising options, and this starts 12 month trend where you're going to have some very fortunate meetings, some of which are chance meetings, some of which are just showing up, and also your media skill set can expand during this time frame. So then the full moon, October 12th through 18th, is a revelation about education and travel, global awareness, and this is going to be, full of all kinds of futuristic, innovative, and eccentric and charismatic elements. So really, really fun. This is the wild ride I was referring to, unexpected results and camaraderie. Should be really fun. Okay, now November is mostly neutral, but with surprise options. Good for catch-up, lucky new moon at the end of November, preps December's marathons. Okay, well, continuing this trend of fortunate meetings and fortunate dealings with media, and now incorporating this into your work so that it's part of your procedure, it becomes part of your procedure, part of what you do on a regular basis. And then the new moon is discovering new talents, new things about your children, open and receptive, a knack for probability. Extremely fortunate because you have this, really great optimism regarding meetings and confidence and a media skill set, and then also some new social contacts with partnerships. So I'm thinking this is a very beneficial and potentially productive new moon here at the end of November. Okay, so December, as I mentioned before, is an action-packed marathon, squeezing out extra work from all of us as the end of the year dictates completions. A visionary new moon is going to set then the next New Year's trends in 2017. So Mercury is retrograde again, does it 4 times a year, December 19th through January 8th. Okay, so here we're looking at the full moon is activating your area of benefactors, patrons, and friends. So you have a very active social phase here in December. And then at the same time, though, you're very serious about your particular talents and what you can do. And you really want to, get that knack for probability, which is another word for saying luck, engaged. That would be fairly simple by itself and effective by itself, but we have even more good things coming through because you've been doing your homework in futurism, that you are, in a reinvention phase, that you are somewhat eccentric, and that in terms of your education, your philosophy, your religious outlooks. So this is a really good mix, and I mean, this is really kind of exciting. I have here versatility rules, being all things to all people puts you in the winner's circle. So this is really great. Okay, now, and this continuing the trend here is that the more that you meet, the more you get educated, the more you travel, the more meetings you have. These two, this is kind of windfalls are possible. This continues throughout 2017. Okay, so we're going to wrap up this forecast by looking at the final new moon of the year, and this will accentuate duties, health, accounting, and health. And this is really interesting thing is that you prepping you for your New Year's 2017 resolutions, and also you get some interesting, here again, what's really going to work for business deal, what isn't. But you do get some more things coming through that look like they might work. So handle with care. And anyway, have a great year, Leos. Thank you for watching. My name's Victoria Martin.
Bu akşam seminerimizi canlı olarak mobil uygulamamız üzerinden yapıyoruz.